Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on the Everlast Elite 2 Pro Boxing Gloves. So check it out. Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on a glove I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about, the Everlast Elite 2 Pro Boxing Gloves. I got mine in the all red colorway, 12 ounces and Velcro. You can also get these in lace up, anywhere between 12 and 16 ounces, as well as 2 additional colorways, all white or all black. So you can get this in 3 different colors, 3 different sizes, as well as 2 different types of closures. The glove is made of a microfiber synthetic PU, which is basically polyurethane for the outside shell, and is manufactured in China. Then it utilizes a system of 5 layers of foam over the strike surface, which has a firm to medium density to it. It's not rock solid, but it's definitely not super soft to where you can just push right through the foam. So we'll discuss that here in more detail here in a second. This glove is a successor to the original Elite gloves. I feel that Everlast took the original Elites and they didn't completely redesign them. They, to me, sometimes you don't need to redesign something. You could take what works already and just kind of add to it to make it even better. And that's what I feel that they did with this glove. And they made a couple of adjustments to this and improvements, which I feel makes this glove even better than the outgoing model, which they still sell, but I feel like this one is definitely better than the original Elites. Now, from a design standpoint, when you're looking at the glove, it does look aesthetically very similar to the original Elites. There's a couple small differences. You still have that vertical Everlast logo that goes down on the back of the glove. It is still a synthetic PU microfiber. The synthetic they use on here is definitely a higher grade, similar to like what Rival uses, except the texture on this doesn't feel as grainy as like the Rival microfiber. This one has a much more smooth and matte feel to it, but is very, very durable. It's definitely not the same synthetic material they use in their budget Elite gloves. So one thing I want to point out is that they have a budget range, which I think are like 100, which are $59, which you can find at most department stores. These are not those gloves. Those are the budget level gloves. They use a different type of material for the exterior, as well as the padding is different than these versions. So do keep that in mind when you're looking at these gloves. But you do still have that synthetic microfiber, they call it, which is really nice and durable, has a very thick feel. You do have the Everlast logo right here, and you also have the Elite that's written vertically on the back of the Velcro strap. Now, one thing I like about the logo as well as the Elite down here is that it's actually embossed into the synthetic, and you can actually feel that the letters are raised up. So there's no like cheap printing or anything like that. Everything is really embossed, and you can see that you can actually feel it, and there's a texture into it. It's recessed into that. You'll also notice an emphasis on the wrist support that gives you a much more rigid feel for the wrist support on the back of the wrist, which we'll describe here in a second once I put the gloves on. You do have the 3.5-inch Velcro strap that is also recessed, so when you put the strap across, it lays flush with that Velcro, and it lays flush with the top of the glove, so you don't have like this huge strap that's kind of sticking out. So you do have that Velcro strap coming around to the palm side. You'll notice that the strap comes in and then it kind of tapers upwards and kind of comes around to where that palm hole is at. You'll notice that this palm hole is actually larger than the previous outgoing Elite model, and what they did is they made this a little bit larger so it's not as tight on the palm side. And I think people were complaining from the outgoing model that was a little bit snug here, so basically Everlast just opened up the palm a little bit where this piping is at. That gives you a little bit more comfort and a little bit more of an opening on the palm side right there. It does say Everlast Elite Fight Team approved, and it has the weight here, again, embossed into synthetic. It says 12 ounces right there. You do have their foamy liner on the inside. It's kind of like a tricot mesh liner on the inside. You have, I'd say, about 1 inch to 1.25 inches of firm density foam padding, also a softer padding that lines up against your skin, and also have that padding of a softer type that comes up all the way through here and up to this top, and you also have the padding that comes up to right here. One thing you'll notice with this glove compared to the outgoing model, that both the Velcro that I have here as well as the lace-up version has is that it has a splinting type system, kind of similar to what they did with the Power Lock 2 glove. So you'll notice that there's an overlap, and now they added a piece of elastic that keeps this inner portion, that flap, from pulling out, but it also gives you that overlap. So when you put your wrist in here, it really locks your wrist in to begin with. So if I slide my hand in, you can see it slides in really easily, and it keeps this pulled over, and it keeps it nice and snug, and it doesn't feel overly tight to where you feel like you're getting your blood circulation cut off, but it keeps that there, and it pulls this portion of the wrist so that when you come over on the other side, it really locks your wrist in. So I do like how you have that splinting overlapping system like you have with the Power Lock 2s. And then the lace-up version, very similar. You have the laces at the top, and then it comes down to the side and kind of angles out. And you get that same overlapping splinting system that you did not have in the original Elite. So I definitely like the fact that you get that splinting system that's integrated into this glove. Ventilated holes, a nice large grip bar, holes right here, right where the finger compartment is, and attached thumb at the very top. And that's pretty much it. So a really solid, clean looking glove. I like the way it feels. Overall, from a design and aesthetic standpoint, very nice looking glove. I think they done a really good job in terms of just the branding, but not doing it overly too much. And hopefully come out with other colorways, maybe like with 2 different colors, a split thumb. So something to give us more variety down the road. We'll see. So there you go from a design standpoint. Oh, and for a 12-ounce glove, I'd say that these are pretty much on point in terms of sizing. Like if you were to look at most 12-ounce gloves, I'd say that these are not overly huge and not overly compact either. For my hands, having medium-sized hands, I feel as a 12-ounce glove, these fit me pretty much perfectly. And I can even use my hand wraps with these and don't feel like my hand is getting choked out inside the glove. So in terms of sizing, I'd say it's right there in the middle in terms of profile and size. Quality-wise, for a synthetic glove, I know people have their opinions on synthetics, compared to a genuine leather glove. But for the sake of this glove, everything is done really nicely. The synthetic is held up. I've had this glove for a while now, and I've been training with these. And you can see this microfiber PU. The one thing that I like about PU compared to leather is you don't really have to condition it. It's not like leather where it's an actual skin. And you also don't get the imperfections that you naturally get with leather, where, synthetics, they're obviously manufactured, so it looks almost too perfect compared to a leather glove, right? So it's just the kind of the pros and cons of having synthetic, but, overall, the synthetic looks really good all throughout the entire glove. The stitching is done really nicely. The glove is really well balanced. You can see, from the top to the bottom where the cuff is at, that splinting system and the distribution of the foam and the weight is done very nicely as well. No issues with the inner liner ripping, no foam being exposed on the inside. The double stitching looks good right there. If I want to nitpick, maybe the stitching right here around the piping could have been done a little bit cleaner. See how it kind of comes out and then kind of drops back into the top right here. Could have been a little bit cleaner and closer. All the holes are poked out. Kind of a pet peeve of mine is when they do the ventilated holes or the air holes, and you can still see that there's leftover the piece that they punched out and they just didn't bother pulling it out. The thumb looks really good. Right down here where the strap is done, stitching looks good there. That seam looks good. The back of the wrist, Velcro is nice. Strap is done well. Inner liner is done good. You do also have the Everlast tag. Shows the weight in there as well. Everlast, 12 ounces. Everlast has like a purchase order, manufacturing date, which was March of this year. So a few months ago, back in the spring. It shows that it's made in China. It also has a breakdown of the materials. 60% polyurethane, 15% ethylene vinyl acetate, 15% rubber, 10% latex. So it kind of gives you the breakdown. You get an idea of the type of foam and just the material that they use in here. Hand washed, cold, do not bleach, do not tumble dry. I mean, that's, to me, is common sense. But yeah, overall, the quality on these gloves are really nice. Quality to me, when it comes to synthetic gloves, is a little bit harder to grade because they wear differently than a leather glove in that regard. So you really just kind of look at the thickness of the synthetic they use and just their overall stitch pattern. To me, that's kind of the areas that you're looking for. Obviously the weight being on point with weight, and how the liner and just the hand compartment feels. I feel oftentimes that you could tell a company's kind of putting more into it if you put your hand into glove, and you could tell that they put more focus on the hand ergonomics as well. Now, as far as comfort goes, sliding your hand into the glove, nice wrist support. Thumb position is pretty much perfect. Nice and parallel thumb. When I make a fist, it doesn't jam the tip of my thumb. You can see it pull down just enough, but it doesn't pull down to the point where I feel like my thumb and the tip of it's really jamming into it, especially for the straight punches like your jabs and your straights. I don't have any issues there. Big change I love is just this bigger opening, and that gives you a little bit more breathing room as well as a little bit more flexibility, as well as kind of like just softness in this general area. You know, sometimes you get gloves that are just super tight across the palm, and the thumb feels really good in here as well. Nice large grip bar that's firm, so you can definitely feel that. And then the finger compartment, again, for a 12-ounce glove, it's pretty much perfect in terms of width. Not too wide, not too narrow. And they also have almost like a piece of the liner with a little piece of foam that acts as like a secondary grip bar that sometimes other companies use, like a piece of neoprene or something, or foam. And they did that to cover the stitching. But you can make a nice tight fist with this. It's semi-broken in. It's not the most softest glove in the world, but it's also not the stiffest. It's kind of right in the middle in terms of being able to open and close your hand. But the more you use these gloves, they will definitely break in, and you can really open and close your hands for those of you that really like to, you know, par your shot, which should be everybody. Everybody should be learning how to parry their shots and do it properly. But with these gloves, you can open and close your hands, no problems. There's gloves out there that are extremely stiff, and no matter what you do to try to, you know, put your fingers up and hold your hand open, it just doesn't happen. But with these, they definitely feel good in that regard. Protection and performance. The one thing I like about this glove too, compared to the outgoing model, is I feel that the foam is very similar in terms of the balance, but I feel it's more flexible, meaning that the foam is a little bit softer on the inside, and I can really get a little bit more flexibility with my hands, especially my fingers, and just being able to open and close my hand. I felt like the original Elites were good, but it was a little bit stiff. With this, I feel like it's a little bit softer in regard to being able to just open and close your hands, and you don't get that same stiffness as you do as the original ones. When you're hitting the bag with these, just a very well balanced glove. Great shock absorption. I feel like it does a really nice job. And you'll notice that when the foam really compresses down, it almost like feels like it gets denser. The more you push into it, like the actual foam that compresses in, it doesn't have a lot of give. And I like that a lot in terms of that shock absorption. So if you're somebody that has maybe like, you know, hand injury, bruised knuckles, just something that's bothering your knuckle area, I think these will do a really good job of giving you the feedback you're looking for, but not being too worried about re-injuring your knuckles, or if you have like a bone bruise or something in that regard. And you can see that it also forms nicely, has a nice flat punch surface. It's not rounded out like a molded foam glove. So in terms of the surface and getting those two front knuckles to land, you really get that nice sensation with these gloves. So very well balanced. I'd say they're right in the middle, but maybe more on the protective side. Definitely not a puncher's glove. They're not something that's super soft, broken in with horsehair, where you're gonna feel like your knuckles just kind of sink right through, like some of the reviews I've done on some of the Mexican style gloves. Cost-wise, these gloves are $159. From that standpoint, I think these gloves are definitely worth it at the price point. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, they're they're synthetic, microfiber, but you know, my argument to that, there's a lot more brands now, like Rival, that are coming out with gloves that use a higher end microfiber. I mean, Onyx uses their own version or their own type of synthetic in their X Factor gloves, and they're not genuine leather either. So we're getting into this stage with boxing equipment, boxing gloves, where you're starting to really see synthetics make a big jump in terms of being able to compete from a quality and durability standpoint as genuine leather gloves. Now, whether or not one is better than the other, that really is up to you, because a lot of people just love the feel of leather, genuine leather, the flexibility of it, the smell, just the way it looks after it breaks in. So it's very subjective. And then there's some people that just probably don't care about that type of stuff. So it really is up to you. And you know, at the price point of $159, with the improvements they made with the foam, the hand opening, and especially that splint style wrist support, I think this is one of the best gloves Everlast has to offer so far. I definitely like them than their Power Lock 2 version, the Power Lock 2 gloves. Definitely way better than their MX2 gloves, which I thought were kind of a fail. And so I think they're definitely up there when it comes to their model lineup. And I'm glad that they made the revisions to this gloves to make them even better than before. But if you're looking at getting an Everlast glove, currently I'd say that this is probably your best bet in terms of getting a very well balanced glove that you're gonna be happy to use. It's gonna be comfortable, and it's gonna do its job when you need it to. So if you guys have any questions or comments, as usual, put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Everlast Elite 2 Pro Boxing gloves. See you guys later. Peace.